Hi everyone, I'm glad to be here this afternoon, and we're going to be learning about interactive materials. Now, in our learning today, our objectives, like I always give you, is one, we want to discuss the constraints of some online learning materials. There are many materials you find online. For example, your websites are learning materials. You also have worksheets that are learning materials, but there are constraints. And I'm going to discuss some of those constraints, and then we can see how we can overcome them. We're also going to identify solutions to some of the materials we'd like to use, which have constraints. We'll be identifying interactive learning materials online. Some of them you have already created because I've already taught you some of them. We'll be looking at some of the tools practically. Today, I'm hoping that in the next few minutes, not too long, maybe after 30 minutes, we can go tool by tool, and then I can demonstrate the use of some of those materials. We're going to explore, we're going to demonstrate the design of interactive learning materials. And particularly today, I'm going to take you to Canva so that you can see how easy it is to design. Then I will also demonstrate the use of online materials and tools. So today we'll be looking at things like Padlet. We'll be looking at Blend Space. We'll be looking at, I'm going to try PDF Escape again. I don't know why it was difficult. It didn't respond the last time I used it, but I hope it will respond this time. So we'll be looking at some of these real materials and using them to create materials. I'd like to congratulate everyone who's been able to do a document with a hyperlink or a hyperdoc. It is very significant that you've been able to do that. Hyperlinked documents or hyperdoc documents is the future, or at least is the present, is the modern version of materials that is used for learning. They're very versatile. They can be used. You can send a lesson by email. You can attach it to Edmodo. You can send it through your WhatsApp. You can post it on your website. You can ask students to download it. It's dynamic, just a page or two or more, and in it can be a complete lesson. So we're going to look at that again because it's very, very important. Now, talking about worksheets and websites, we have different types of web sheets, and I have a few that I've downloaded deliberately so we can look at. Now, worksheets used to be exciting maybe 10, 20 years ago, or maybe, yeah, about 10, 20 years ago. They were exciting online documents. But right now, they're not as exciting because they are fixed. They're not dynamic. So you have lots of websites like IXL.com. You have so many websites that have been creating worksheets for over 10 years. They are lovely to look at, but they're only good when they're printed out. It's difficult for learners to use them online because they are fixed materials. But we can adapt these materials now. And that's something that I hope we'll be able to do. If I don't succeed again with PDF Escape, I will at least show you what to do. I don't know why it hasn't worked for me the last time, but there are tools like PDF Escape that can help you to transform worksheets. If you can't use PDF Escape, perhaps you could manipulate Canva and see if you can turn it into an image and see if you can upload it to Canva and see if you can manipulate it. Okay, so worksheets can be static and are usually made for printing out so that students can write on it. So they are locked in a sense when they are being used electronically. They need to be adapted to make them interactive. Interactive in the sense that the learner can engage and work on them. Or perhaps you want to add some new instruction to them or a link to one thing or the other. A worksheet might be attractive or may not be attractive. If they're not attractive enough, you can make them attractive by adapting them with colors or images. That's also possible. You may need to add explanations for your learners to make it easier for them to work. And for websites, They could be good for learning, but are generally, again, static. Then when you send your student to a website, they have a lot of information. So how do you localize the information you want them to get? Those are some of the disadvantages of websites. Yet we now have a tool that you can use to make your websites just perfect for your learners. I think I showed it previously. It's called Insert Learn. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to demonstrate that again, to see how to show you how your websites can become very engaging for your students. Students may also find websites boring. So what can you do? Right now, you can video yourself on a website and instruct your learners on how to work with that website. That tool is available, and I will show it to you again today. Students may find things difficult to find, but with tools like Insert Learn, you can highlight different points in the website, and you can just copy the link or else integrate it into your Google Classrooms, and your children can have new learning materials. As we go along, I want to say to you, everyone, please, if you have a question, put it on the question tag, please. There is a question bubble there. Click on it because it's the most important thing for us today. If you want to chat or make a comment, then you can make it on the chat bubble, but questions should be put on the question bubble. So on your left-hand corner, if you're using a laptop, you will see people. It shows the number of people who are here with us. Underneath it is the question bubble. If you have any question at any time, it's part of our learning. Please type it in there. And when I have the time, I will stop, read your question, and I will answer it. After that, you'll see the chat bubble where you can chat to colleagues or you can make a comment. Sometimes I check the chat bubble. Underneath it are the handouts. Today, I have just a slide as your handout. You can download it if you want. Okay, so I'm going to continue now. So let's go on. Thank you very much, Maria. I appreciate your comments. Documents or slides. Now, we also have documents or slides which we've been using for a while. For example, your Microsoft Word document or your Google document. They can also be static. They can also be boring. They may also contain limited information. For example, you want to teach something, a topic in science. You use your slides. They look nice when you are talking, but without your talk and your explanation, they could be very static and students may find it difficult to understand. Can we do something about them? Yes, we can. We can integrate different things into our slides or our Microsoft Word documents using links. And with slides, we can even connect page to page deliberately if we want to get our learners to find something else. Our slides may have too much text, and to make it more responsive, we may need to add video or images, or we can even use colors to make it look more interesting. We can speak to our learners using videos or using imagery with words rather than just typing. So it's always good with slides to limit the words. You can also record yourself, your voice on a slide. Or otherwise, if you don't want to record directly on a slide, you can record yourself teaching using software like Screencastify. So there are different options to make your slides or your documents interactive. You can put a link in your Google Doc or your Microsoft Word document or your slides, and when the students go through the slides, they can click on a final link and do an activity. I have a few samples of what some of you have done. Some of them I will show for the sake of learning. Okay, I would ask you to criticize the document. I'm not going to mention who made the documents. Okay, we'll use some for criticism so that we can learn critically. And then we will use some also to observe some of the things that are particularly interesting so that our learning can increase. So there are other documents that may not show well on mobile devices. The last time I did a check, I noticed that a lot of you prefer to use mobile devices to teach with. And with mobile devices, slides or documents may not show well. But then with Canva, with documents like Canva, tools like Canva, which we're going to look at today, we can actually select a layout that fits into your mobile phone. So if you want a document to be used in a mobile phone, in Canva, there are slides that are shaped like mobile phones, so that when you open your document, let me see if I can find one of them so I can show you. When you open the document, it becomes easier to read. I'm going to show you one of the documents I made. Okay, so here is my mobile phone. I hope you can see it well. This is a slide, but it is filling up my mobile phone. This is what I use to advertise this training. This is the first page. You see, it fills up the mobile phone. Sorry, it's showing as a mirror image, but second page, here's the second page, and it fills up your mobile phone. If you're going to work with learners using a mobile, please go to Canva, and I'm going to try to demonstrate one of that today. An example today, there's a question. I'm going to project it. After I downloaded Canvas, okay, Canvas is not Canva. Canvas is actually a learning management system. It's for uploading your courses or your lessons. But Canva, without an S, is a designing software. I've been talking about Canva, so let me assume you're talking about Canva. After I downloaded Canva, I tried downloading a picture, but was asked to pay for it. I could not copy the image. Please, can I use Canva properly? Okay, with everything that is electronic, there are simple instructions that you can read. When you're online and something does not happen the way you want it to happen, read. When you go into Canva, Canva is free and you can do a lot without paying. But when you're selecting documents for Canva or images for Canva, you have to choose between the ones you pay for and the ones that are free. If you don't want to spend money, make sure when you're selecting an image, on it is written free. And if you don't want to use the images or they're not adequate for what you need, find an image on the internet and download it into your device. And then you can upload it into Canva and use it. When you're downloading from Canva, it's free. So I don't know why you're being asked to pay for it. It's probably because you're asking for a version of a download that is not free. Hopefully we can look at Canva together, but I want to use that as an opportunity to tell us that interactive online media is easy to use. All you need to do is read the instructions. There are instructions for us. Read it. If you don't understand it, ask someone to come and check what you're doing wrong. They're interactive, they're simple. That's how technology is these days. It's very simple. Just read the instructions and you will see what to do. Now, how can we make our materials interactive? I've talked about documents, slides, I've talked about websites and worksheets. Those are some of the documents that we use every day in our classrooms. How can we make them interactive? Because that's what we're looking for. We can redesign the material with software like Canva. We can add images, we can add graphics, videos, we can add instructions. We can connect to websites with links. We can connect to learning materials. For example, we can put a Google form in there or a Microsoft form in there, and students can take a quiz or a test. So we've done some of this before, but today, particularly, I want us to look at materials, interactive materials. Some of the materials we can use to adapt Canva, PDF Escape, which I've mentioned before, Screencastify, is a very good one. Padlet, we're going to see how Padlet works. Forms, maybe Google Forms, Microsoft Forms. You have Google Maps. You can insert maps into your work. You can use YouTube and connect it with a link, so students can actually view before doing their work. We will demonstrate blend space. Blend space is another channel in terms of using it to communicate learning to learners. So I call YouTube is obviously we know it's called a channel, but a channel is like a means to an end. So I made you set up blogs of your own as a channel for communicating with your learners, for posting materials for your learners, for also displaying their work, for sending messages or information. Okay, so Blend Space is a channel in the same way. You can use YouTube, Blend Space, blogs, and you can also use Google Sites, which is a free website. We will also see how to use Insert Learn, which is fantastic for using websites in your interactive learning. So for example, let's say I have a document, a worksheet, and I want to send it to my learners. Some worksheets may not have the kind of instructions I want. So I can adapt the worksheet using a software like PDF Escape, and I can add instructions for my learners. If they don't look very attractive, or if I want to put images that are more attractive, I can add images into an existing worksheet. I can link it to a website. I can connect a video through a link to it. I can redesign that worksheet using Canva, or perhaps I can upload it into Google Doc as an image and make it interactive in Google Docs. I can add a new background. I can do a lot of things with any of these tools that I have mentioned. So before we go on, I'd like to remind you again that you can make a difference in your learning materials. You can use existing learning materials and you can adapt them to suit you or to suit your learners. You can also design new learning materials. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. There's a question here. Somebody is asking a question which I have answered for 2 weeks already. She's asking me if a recording will be sent to your email. Could someone please answer that as we go ahead? I have repeated myself over and over again, and there are messages to that effect on message board in Basecamp. Thank you. So I'm going to go on and we will be exploring some of these materials, and we'll be learning how to adapt materials and how to create new materials.